Atalanta are back up to second place, still 6 points behind Juventus, having played a game more than them now, but 2 ahead of Inter and Lazio. Look at that goal difference, plus 50, by far the highest scorers in Serie A. Gab and Jules are still with us. Gab, we've been waxing poetical, haven't we, all season long about this Atalanta, most of last season as well, to be honest. So what more is there to say after tonight's display?
I don't know. I mean, other than the fact that Mario Pasalic enjoys playing Brescia, because between both the home and away leg, he scored 5 goals against them. You could mention the fact that you got to go all the way back to 1950 to find a side that scored more goals at this stage of the season after 33 games than Atalanta. That 1950, by the way, was AC Milan with a legendary Gunnar Gren, Gunnar Nordahl, and Nils Lidholm up front. And of course, those guys didn't win the title back then, just as Atalanta probably aren't going to win it this year. But that's okay, because they can set their sights on bigger and better things, like winning the Champions League.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Gab, because even if they don't win Serie A, Jules, they have PSG awaiting them in the Champions League. I saw your tweet a little earlier. How would you describe your level of worry in terms of the way it's escalating at the moment?
I swear I don't usually bite my nails or anything, but during the game tonight I was like this. It was cringeworthy. You should have seen me. I mean, I knew from the beginning, and we followed Atalanta all season, and I knew how good they were and what a tricky draw it was. And the more I watched and the more I analysed the patterns of play, the style of play, the goal they scored, but also the negative that they have, and they conceded goals again. They conceded 2 goals today. They've conceded more than 1 goal a game in the league so far this season. So they have flaws as well. But going forward, my word, what a very, very special team. And you saw against the variety of the goals tonight. Cross from the left and Zapata's header. You've got a 20-yard shot from Malinowski. You've got the ball through from Malinowski to Pasalic on one of his goals. You've got the incredible outside of his foot half volley from the Rune. So they score goals in very different ways, different patterns, different style, and that really, really worries the hell out of me.
There's been a narrative out there, Jules, that PSG are going to be rusty come August the 12th when Atalanta are waiting for them. But that's not entirely accurate, is it? They do have plenty of games, a couple of cup finals for starters between now and then.
Yes, you're right. July 24th, July 31st, the French Cup final and the League Cup final against Saint-Etienne and Lyon, which would be very good opposition, very good games. If they win both, you get a lot of momentum. Then going into the Champions League 2 weeks later, 2 weeks after the League Cup final, they have a few friendlies before, and maybe even the weekend before the Champions League is back in Portugal. But it would be nowhere near as many competitive matches as what Atalanta would have played before, or teams in Spain or team in Germany, obviously, because Ligue 1 had been stopped since March. The counter argument is that they will be maybe fresher than Atalanta, who play a lot, for example, who will play a lot, and other teams as well, maybe with less injuries, if there is some injuries in other teams. But also, you're right, you could say that lack of match fitness, of game time, and of competitiveness in the weeks leading into the Champions League resuming could be a disadvantage for sure.
Gab, I know it's still nearly a month away. How do you assess this quarterfinal on August the 12th from the viewpoint that we're looking at the moment?
Well, Jules and I touched upon this on the podcast, and there's a lot of question marks, obviously, with Paris Saint-Germain. But there's one area where I think Paris Saint-Germain would have a definite edge, and that is they have individual playmakers. They have guys who aren't afraid to engage in those one-on-ones and create create overloads. And we saw that a little bit when they played Manchester City, another team that's blessed with a lot of very talented, individually talented guys. I mean, you're talking about unleashing Neymar and Mbappe against the likes of Toloi and Palomino. And you're talking about freeing them to go and say, you know what, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to beat you. And if I don't beat you once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times, I'm just going to try again. And then I will beat you. And, most players, especially most talented players, aren't like that. and obviously aren't as good as Neymar and Mbappe. And I think that's really going to be a challenge for Atalanta. And so I think the question for Gasperini is going to be, is he going to make adjustments for those two? We have seen him make adjustments throughout the season, and part of the reason they score in so many different ways is that they are very versatile that way. But generally those adjustments have been at the attacking end, depending on how the opposition defends. Here, I just wonder if he's going to be tempted to try to come up with something to counter the threat of Neymar and Mbappe, because if it turns into a shootout and it comes down to who scores more goals, Paris Saint-Germain are pretty well placed relative to Atalanta.
Indeed. I don't think there's any way there won't be serious fireworks in Lisbon on August the 12th. So you wait. Now it's 0-0 and it's going to go to penalties. Thanks very much indeed, guys. Serie A coming your way on ESPN. ESPN Plus, we start with the AC Milan and Parma on Wednesday. Sampdoria Cagliari on the main network. Juventus also in action later on. Lazio as well. And then on Thursday, 2 further games, including Inter and Torino.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.